Congratulations, because you just made it to the stage. So what next are we going to be doing? Now, the last class, we are able to set up our body parser, we're able to set up our express.json. So we set up imported with body parser, right, on our line 3. And this is to, then we set up the URL encoded just to do a URL extension to be forced. Then we then brought in this, app.use and make use of this middleware. So that's what we've done so far. And you have learned how to actually read the documentation through the NPM. So let's test what we've done so far. Now, everything is set. So we're going to be trying this on the post request because we want to get something from the front end. So what is that I want to get from the front end? Now, mind you, whatever you're getting from the front end is stored in request.body. It's stored in request.body. So in this response, beneath this response, I'm just going to do request.body. So if I say request.body, whatever I get from the front end is stored in this request.body. So let me just console.log out the request.body. Rec, that's what I call it, dot.body. So that means whatever the user is entering from the client is going to be stored in this request.body. I want to see what the user is entering from the client. So let's go to the client, that is the front end. Now on the front end now, how do we send something from the front end? Now this is what we do. Pay attention, we go straight to the body. Now on this body, we can decide to choose raw and make sure that this is set to JSON. Our default is always set to JSON. If it's not set to JSON, set it to JSON because we want to save the data in form of JSON. So now this is what we want to bring in. Now for us to be able to write in JSON, we put our curly braces, right? And we start writing the properties of each of the column one. You know, when you are logging into an application, for example, username, they ask you enter your username. That field must have been called username. So let's assume it is called username. Now there is something wonderful about this extension here of this. You can decide to hard code and type this way and say username, or you can just decide to just type it because you have already set it to JSON. It knows what to do, and it's just going to help you to add the double quotes to whatever you're typing in here. So if I do that, I say this is username. So for a reason best not to it, it's not just working. Okay, so let me take it back to the way it was. So I think I will call it email instead of username. So we have email, that's one property. So it must be in the double quotes. Now, what do you want the email, the value of the email? So key and value. So what the value of the email? Let's just say email dot user at user.com. So let's just assume that's the email. And let's assume we want to enter in another field. So you put a comma to enter another field. Let's assume we want to enter a name, right? So we say name. And what else do we bring in here? So we can say the name should be maybe James, right? And whatever content you want to bring in here, maybe password. So you can also decide to enter your password. Let's say password. Now these are just the name. This, what I'm calling it here can be anything. So you can call it anything. These are what you want to call each of the fields. So I'm calling this field password. So I'm just going to enter a password. So I'm going to say pass 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the password. So this is what I want to get from the front end. So immediately a post request is made, because when you hit the button of login in any application, what you're actually entering, you're entering something like this, like email and password, right? So let's assume we are entering a name, just like a registered, form. Let's assume this is a registered form. So you're putting the name, the email, you're going to have a region for confirmed password, but let's just maintain the string. So this is what we want to get from the front end. So how do we do that? So we go to our post request as usual, and we are already good to go. So one to go, moment of truth. So we hit this, and let's see what comes up from the back end. So from here, we'll not actually see, oh, because I'm not in the right route. That's called post. So let's check that out now again. So we hit this. So we're still seeing what we send to the front end, rest.send posting. But let's go see our console. Now, if you check out our console, because we said console.com, you can see those data that we enter are already in our console. Can you see that? So that means we have email, right? We have name. So you can make use of this data. So for example, if I want to send it, instead of sending this rest.send, I can decide to send this request.body to the front end as well, right? You want the front end to see it. So I can also decide to send to the front end. So let's do that, request.body. So if we try that again and try to run this, we hear this, and boom, here comes the result. So we are seeing everything here because we said response.send, we're sending it to the front end. And here in our console, we are still seeing it here because we said console.log out that same output. So we can see we have different regions. We have email, we have user, we have name, we have password. Then how then do we access each of these member? So let's assume we are sending to the front end. Let's just assume we are sending to the front end and we don't need this anymore. Let's assume that. And okay, the rest also send. So how do we access each member? Now, how do we access only email? How do we access that? Very simple to do. So request.body is the one carrying the data. So for example, we want to access email. Let's assume this is email. So let's create a variable. Let's call it let's email equal to, so request.body. So we have request.body. Oh, sorry. Request.body, then dot email, because there is a feed called email. So it's going to get the email. So if we want to console.log out email, we can console.log out email, right? So let's just do this to be posting instead of sending to the front end. Say posting. Oh, let's leave it the way it is so we can just visualize it. Okay, so right now we can get email. So how do we get email? Request.body.email. You guessed this right. If you want to get the password, also request.body.password. Whatever name that is being placed in the client here, you want to access it, request.body.email, request.body.name, request.body.password, request.body, whatever name that you call that feed, right? So that is it. So if we try to save this and let's just save this and run this again. So if we run this and just look at the email that is being entered. So we are sending it to the front end, rest.send, request.body, and now we are seeing the email. Can you see that now? So this is how you access each of the members, each of the feed that you have right there. Hope to see you in the next class. Please make sure you give this a shot and always get your hands dirty by practicing. Bye.